All right, y'all. I'm back in Florida. I was in Oregon for the past 2 weeks, on vacay, chilling and enjoying the fall time in the Pacific Northwest. But I'm back home now, and I figured I'd do a little video on what I'm working on right now here at Mary's property. Kind of have this bad habit of only filming once everything is said and done. I kind of get into the zone and forget that I have a phone. So I want to get into a better habit of filming things while I'm doing them so that you can see the process. I think it's very important to see the process. And it'll make for shorter videos too, because I oftentimes just ramble on for like 30 minutes. So let's get into this. So it's fall, the weather is finally cooling up a bit. And so we're making space for vegetables for this fall, winter, spring. And I want to show how I'm going about doing that. So here at Mary's property, we're blessed with ample irrigation. It's everywhere, so we don't have to, there's no limit to where we can put the veggies, which is awesome. And there's also tons and tons of bananas, which is super crucial if you want to do veggies sort of syntropic style, and with less water input. So what we have is, this is south. So the southern sun is angled this way. The sun is angled to the south during the winter. So this is our most sunny spot back here, whereas it gets shadier as you go north, especially northeast. So what we're doing is these couple of, I think the first 2 rows that are the most southern were, we never really ended up putting tons of seed bombs like I did over there. So there's a lot of empty ground. And I kind of did that because I ran out of time, and also because we kind of figured that this would be the best spot for veggies in the future because it's the most southern part of the property or of the food forest. So the bananas have been growing all summer. They've been loving the heat. They've been loving all the mulch. And so they grew into clumps sort of like this. And that's fine if you want to grow bananas and want to grow shade and want to grow, fruit trees under them and really take advantage of all this nice shade for the winter, frost protection, all that. But this is not so conducive if you want to grow vegetables. So what we're doing is we're thinning these banana clumps super, super hard and opening up all that sunlight so that we can open up new space for vegetables. And when you're opening up new space for vegetables, in the classic sort of syntropic style, it's like you have a biomass row on one side and then a biomass row on the other side, and then in the middle is your veggies, which is fine. That's super efficient, especially for commercial operation. Like, you don't want to be messing around with doing what I'm doing. But since this is a home scale project, and there's no we're not trying to bring things to market or anything, so we don't have to be super efficient. What we're doing is just putting in little tiny strips of things. Like, this is barely a hand distance apart and a few feet long. Like, you're able to cram veggies in into really small spots. It's not like vegetable plants get huge. So one of the advantages of doing that is that you can be super, super flexible, like super flexible. There was tons of sun hemp and like a bunch of biomass things that were just here randomly that I planted since I ran out of time in the summer. And you can see all the biomass it has created. And it kind of just held this down during the summer. And what I did was I kind of cleaned up the weeds and yanked out the sun hemps and stuff. So it left this nice fluffy bed. So even though, I ran out of time during the summer and didn't plant this how I wanted to, I still have that backup option of just like, okay, we're running out of time, summer's here, it's gonna get hot and humid and rainy, so I just sprinkle tons of sun hemp everywhere, and that's far better than just leaving it to nature's devices, because if you do leave it to nature's devices, it'll probably end up looking like this, which is fine. This is just torpedo grass covering the ground, protecting the ground, but I'd rather deal with sun hemp than torpedo grass, because pulling out sun hemp is much easier than pulling out torpedo grass. So yeah, I started yesterday, and you can see here I thinned these banana clumps and all the biomass was put to the ground, and now anywhere you see tons of biomass, that's where we're going to be putting veggies. So we'll pull this back, amend the soil a little bit, and plant into this. This is just temporary to cover it while we're deciding what veggies we're going to plant. And same here, you can see we did the same. We're going to try a little experiment. This was okra for the summer, and so what I did was I just chopped all the okra back, this little patch of okra, and we're going to see, hopefully they can act as a little mini trellis for like cucumbers or tomatoes or something, weave its way all around this little okra patch, but we'll see if that works or not. Even something like this, where I just left the main banana and then 2 pups or 3 pups, this could theoretically even be thinned out even more. Like this big one can go, leaving the 2 to grow for the future. And same here with this one. So you can see just how crazy some of these banana clumps can get, and if you thin them back really hard, you can get in a lot of sunlight. So that's kind of what we're up to. I guess I'll just stop the video now so you can see kind of the before and after of at least this one bed. It's going to be the same for all these spots that I marked out as well over here. Anything with flags, anywhere where I saw that it was open and there wasn't too many fire ants, because that's something we have to contend with on this property a lot. The fire ants are pretty bad. Anywhere a space as small as this is enough for a couple of vegetables. So yeah, figured I'd do a little video like this to just get myself back into the flow of making videos again, because there's a lot of cool topics I want to touch on. Sometimes I just get lost in the work, so I'm just gonna pause it for now, and then you'll see how this little bed ends up being, and that's pretty much the example for the rest of the little beds going forward. All right, so we're pretty much finished with the bed. You can see here the banana logs are underneath on the edges, sort of holding up the bed. If you think about a raised bed, like the side walls, it's kind of what the banana chunks are acting as. And then I always make sure I cover them with something. It can either be the mulch from the pathways or the banana leaves themselves, because you really want those banana trunks to decompose very nicely and not get dried out by the sun and wind. So that's a key part of the design of the bed. Definitely have the banana trunks down there, because it helps in the long run. Another thing two things I wanted to mention is that I think I've touched on this one before, but this bed originally started out maybe like from here to like here, and it was mulched very heavily on the sides. And here in Florida especially, all it takes is a few months for the little critters to start digesting that mulch and breaking it down and turning it into something that's a little bit more soil-like. So this bed that was once whatever, let's just say 1.5 feet wide or whatever, is now like 3 feet wide on either side. 3 feet wide because of those few months of mulch decomposition. And that's the tactic that I've been really liking. where when I first start a row, I can do it very narrowly, and then after one summer, I can expand the sides. It's just something that I've been really liking. And the second thing is that these plants here are, not going to be disturbed that much by the veggies. For one, the veggies most of the time have a very shallow root system, so it's not a big deal. And two, these plants, for the most part, were pretty much free. I guess the only thing is the banana, which my client bought for like a couple bucks a piece. So it's not like it's a huge investment. This moringa is from seed, which comes out to be like a few pennies per seed, not big. Miri eats a lot of pineapples, so all these pineapple tops are just, would have gotten tossed in the compost. This mulberry, I got cuttings from. I gather cuttings all the time, so it's pretty much free within a little bit of time. Suriname cherry is pretty much free from my friend's property. I collected a bunch of seeds. So the beautiful thing about doing this type of agroforestry is that you have so much variety that you have the sliding scale of what plant you consider precious or not. And it really relieves a lot of pressure because you can really pack things in because you're not so worried, oh no, my free mulberry is gonna die or get overcrowded, or, anything like that, where if you bought a $50 grafted mango, you'll feel a lot more hesitant to like plant veggies and stuff around it because you spent $50, $100, whatever on a tree. So yeah, I think that's it, and we'll see what kind of veggie consortiums we can think up of. But yeah. Okay, so figured I'd show this little bed here, this last bed that I'm working on this morning, because I also wanted to touch on the fact that when we manage the bananas to grow veggies, not only are we supplying the veggie bed with tons of biomass and water, bananas are super integral to agroforestry, because subtropical agroforestry, because there's no tree that will give you the amount of biomass and the amount of time that a banana would. And the banana has water in it as well, so that's like a double whammy. So we give the bed water and biomass, as well as we are helping the banana clump itself. As we're coming into winter, sometimes it's best to sort of reset your banana clump, because what might happen is, if this big boy that I just took down started fruiting, because it would have started flowering and fruiting pretty soon, it would have been flowering at the peak of the dry season. Flowering and fruiting at the peak of the dry season, peak of the cold season, and it might not make it. Oftentimes we get a frost that will kill some bananas. So what happens when you thin heavily as we go into the dry season is that you define which bananas you want to be your superstar bananas for next summer. So instead of the banana clump wasting all its energy trying to produce fruit on this big one and then failing in case if we get a frost or something, you are defining the future of this clump so that these will only take a minor hit if there's a frost, and then they'll bounce back and produce tons more leaves, and then theoretically produce flowers and fruit in the middle of the summer when conditions are ideal. So it's kind of a cool little symbiosis, bananas and veggies, because veggies excel in the winter here, whereas bananas not so much. If you have irrigation like in here, then you're fine, but I'm just saying, if you were to do this with not as many water resources as we have here, The veggies love the winter here. Bananas not so much. Bananas love the summer here. Veggies not so much, unless, you know, okra and watermelon and things like that. So yeah, that was the last little thing I wanted to touch on. And here you can see a better sort of idea of what the bed's going to look like. There was no like mulch or sun hemp or anything like that added to this row this summer. This row specifically, I fell behind on a lot, so there isn't like any plants that I put in there as placeholders. So you can see there's a blank empty canvas here, and then we mulched heavily around. So anyways, I figured that would be important to share. So that's all. Peace.